Hello everyone. We are glad to welcome you to our Extensions 101 webinar series. We believe we have attendees from the previous sessions that were conducted as part of this series and new participants as well. So, once again, we are very happy to have you all here and we hope you find this session informative. I am Nandita and I'll be taking you through today's webinar. I also have Lavanya with us. We are from the Zoho Marketplace team and we will be available throughout the session to address your queries. So if you have any questions during the session, kindly post them in the chat window. Or if there's anything in particular that you require immediate clarification with, feel free to unmute and raise your query as well. So before we get started with our today's session, let's have a quick summary of the topics that we had covered earlier in our Extensions 101 series. So far, we have completed 5 sessions as part of this series, where we learned about the Zoho Developer Platform Sigma and how it can be used to create extensions for various Zoho products. We kicked off with building extensions for Zoho CRM and went over 2 major features, namely connectors and connected apps. So after covering the major features involved in developing Zoho CRM extensions, we moved on to developing Zoho Desk extensions, where we discussed the key features involved in the extension building process along with a detailed example demo. And then finally, we looked into building extensions for Zoho projects along with a use case demonstration. So now, after a brief pause, we are back with 2 new sessions in our Extensions 101 series that will solely focus on Zoho CRM extensions. These 2 new sessions will cover yet another important feature involved in developing Zoho CRM extensions, which is CRM Variable, also called as custom properties. So the CRM Variable is a versatile feature and can be used in different scenarios. One of its major uses is integrating Zoho CRM with other applications, and that is going to be the primary topic of our session today. So before we enter into today's session on CRM variables, let's have a quick overview on the concept of integrating Zoho CRM with other applications and the methods that are available to do so that we get a better picture while we discuss about CRM variables later. So in order to integrate Zoho CRM with another application, a secure connection has to be established between the applications for seamless data transfer. However, every application has its own user authentication mechanism in order to establish safety and security protocols. So the Zoho CRM developer platform also provides 2 major features, namely connectors and CRM variables that can be used to securely connect with the third-party applications based on the authentication mechanism supported by them. So say if the third-party application to connect with Zoho CRM supports OAuth authentication mechanism, then the connectors feature available in the Zoho developer platform can be used for authorization and integration. And if the application to connect with Zoho CRM supports API key or tokens as its user authentication mechanism, then the CRM variables feature available in the Zoho developer platform could be used for establishing authorization and integration. So in one of our earlier sessions, we had covered this connectors feature in detail with an example on how it can be used to integrate with applications that support OAuth user authentication mechanism. So for those who didn't get a chance to attend that session, we will share that link at the end of the session and it will later be shared by Janaki through mails as well. So today, let's go ahead and explore the other authorization method, CRM variables, in detail. We will go over the CRM variables concept in depth in order to learn more about integrating Zoho CRM with applications that use API key or token authentication mechanism. So far, we've seen an overview on the concept of integrating Zoho CRM with other applications and the methods that are available to do so. So we're next going to enter into the agenda of our today's session, which is CRM variables. Yeah, so let's go ahead with the agenda for today. So our today's agenda includes the following items: an overview on CRM variables, when and where can CRM variables be used, how can you create a CRM variable, the extension components in which CRM variables can be incorporated along with their syntax, and finally an example use case for CRM variables along with a demo. So let's start with what are CRM variables. CRM or custom variables are global variables that can store data. They are versatile and can be used in a variety of situations, such as storing data that needs to be globally accessed throughout the extension, or handling third party integrations where there would be a need for user specific input values. So, the CRM variables feature can be used to store some static data which you want to later access globally across your entire extension components in order to perform some functionalities. Or it can also be used in scenarios where you want to handle third party integrations. So say for integration with a third party application, you require some user specific or security related input from the end user. So in such cases, you can create a CRM variable which will help you to handle the authorization between Zoho CRM and the third party application, thereby allowing you to perform further extension functionalities. So now that we have an idea on what are CRM variables, next let's move on to when and where can CRM variables be used. So let's go ahead and see a scenario where the CRM or custom variables play a significant role. So consider integrating Zoho CRM with a third-party data enrichment provider. The integration's goal is to enrich and populate real-time B2B data on the technologies that are linked with the Zoho CRM leads company. So assume API key is the authentication mechanism that is used by this data enrichment application. And since the API key is a security related and a user specific data, it must be provided by the end user in order for integration with Zoho CRM to be effective for seamless data transfers. So in this circumstance, CRM variables would be ideal and perfectly suited. So for our above scenario, a CRM variable can be defined for the third-party application's API key. This variable will be prompted to the end user upon extension installation to allow them to enter their user-specific API key. The entered data will then be saved as the value for API key, which can later be used to handle authorization and extension data operations that are linked to third-party application, such as displaying the technologies associated with the leads company. So in the example that we have seen, we are integrating Zoho CRM with a third-party application, which is a data enrichment provider. And since that application follows API keys for its user authentication and authorization, we are creating a CRM variable in order to allow the end user to input their user-specific value after the extension is installed. So once the CRM variable is entered, a secure connection will be established between Zoho CRM and the data enrichment application, thereby allowing us to display the tags and technologies associated with the particular leads company within the leads detail view page itself. So this is one major example where CRM plays a significant role. So now that we have seen a scenario on where CRM variables can be used, let's go ahead and see how you can create a CRM variable. In order to create a CRM variable, we'll first have to enter into our Zoho developer platform and then enter into the extension for which we want our variable to be created. So let me go to my Zoho developer platform. So this is my Zoho developer platform where I'm prompted to choose my workspace. So I'm going to choose the workspace, which will redirect me to my extensions gallery page. So over here, I'll be able to view all the extensions that I've created so far. So whether the extensions are in the draft status or the published status, all the extensions that I've created so far will be available in my extensions gallery page. So I've already created an extension for Zoho CRM in order for us to enter into the extension and then go ahead and see how you can create a CRM variable. So let me enter into the extension. So this is my extensions developer console where we are going to go ahead and see how you can create a CRM variable. So for if you're unsure as to how you can enter into the Zoho developer platform, create an extension and then enter into this particular space, in one of our earlier webinars, we detailed these steps completely. So if you have a look at that particular video, you'll be able to get a clear picture on entering into Zoho developer platform, creating an extension for Zoho CRM, and then entering into your extensions developer console. So we'll have that link shared as well at the end of the session. So now that we are entered into a particular extensions developer console, let's go ahead and see how you can create a CRM variable. So in order to create a CRM variable for an extension, you can use this custom properties option available in the left panel. So let me go ahead and click on custom properties. And you can see that you are prompted with a button to create your first CRM variable. So I'm going to click on the button. So in this particular page, we are going to enter the details that are related to the CRM variable. So first let's go ahead and provide a CRM variable name. So the variable that you are creating now, let's just take a relevance to the example that we had just referred to. So in our example use case, we wanted to create a CRM variable for the API key for the third party application, right? So let me provide the variable name as API key. And you can see that the API name will automatically get populated. So let's provide a description for this variable. This is going to be our third-party applications API key. Okay, so once you've provided the variable name and the description, the next thing is to choose the variable type. So variable type is nothing but the data type of your CRM variables value that you want. So you have a variety of options to choose from. I'm going to go ahead and give a single line for our CRM variable that we are creating. So after providing the data type, the next thing is the permission field. So this field literally implies the control that the end user is going to have over the CRM variable once this extension has been published and installed in their Zoho CRM account. So you can see that there are 4 different permission types. So the first permission type, read or write, means that when this particular extension is published and installed in the end user's Zoho CRM account, that end user will have the permission to either view, that is read or view the value of the CRM variable, or write or make changes to the value of the CRM variable as well. So they'll be able to view or write values to the CRM variable that is going to be created as part of extension development process. So the next thing is read only, which literally implies that the end user will only have the permission to view the value that is given for the CRM variable during extension development, whereas they will not be able to make changes or write any value for that particular CRM variable as part of their Zoho CRM account. The third permission is hidden, which means that once the CRM variable is created as part of extension development, when it's going to be published and installed in the end user's Zoho CRM account, the end user will not have a visibility over the CRM variable that is being created. So let's say in scenarios where you want some security related data to be used as part of your extension development, some static security related data. In that cases, you can go ahead and create a CRM variable with the permission type as hidden and go ahead and provide that static value. Later, that value can be accessed across your extension components to perform functionalities related to the extension development. So when that extension is going to be published and installed, the end user will not have visibility over the CRM variable that is being created. So that's with respect to the permission type hidden. And finally, we have something called as system permission type. So this is similar to hidden, but the difference is that for the other 3 permission types, the Zoho Developer Platform offers an additional feature which is called as on-field value change. So this value that you're providing for a CRM variable could be changed at any point of time, say by the developer. If it's of the permission read or write, then the developer will have the extension, the end user will have the permission to make changes to the CRM variable value, right? Or similarly, as part of some extension development functionalities that you're performing, you would like to alter the CRM variables value as well. So for the first three permission types, there is a feature where you can go ahead and perform a logical functionality on change of a value for a CRM variable. So that feature where you can perform a script or a functionality on change of a value for a CRM variable is specific to these three permission types, whereas it is not available for system. So as per our use case, we are going to, since the API key is a user specific input that has to be provided by the end user, we are going to keep the permission as read or write so that the value can be provided by the end user upon extension installation. So now that we've chosen the variable type and the permission, the next thing is providing the value for the CRM variable. So earlier when we discussed on what are CRM variables, we saw that CRM variables could be used to store some static data. So let's say we are providing a value called as test for this particular API key. This is a static value. So once you click on save, you can go ahead and use this CRM variable across your extension components in order to access this value and perform some extension functionality. Whereas we also saw that there are certain scenarios where, like if you're handling some third-party integration, then you would require the end user to provide their user-specific API key in order to establish the secure connection. So in those cases, you can leave the value as empty, so that when you leave the value as empty and click on save, and after this extension is going to be published and installed by the end user, they will be prompted to enter the value for the CRM variable as soon as the extension is installed. So based on the value provided by them, wherever this particular CRM variable is used across the extension components, that value will be used as part of that CRM variable and the functionalities will be performed. So for our use case, this is a user specific input to be given by the end user. So I'm going to leave the value as empty and click on save. So before we click on save, there's something called as grouped under as well. So if you're familiar with Zoho CRM customization, so the customizations that you're doing as part of your Zoho CRM account, while you're creating a CRM variable, you can actually group your CRM variable into a particular category. So that support is offered as part of Zoho CRM. Similarly, any CRM variable that you're creating through an extension will be grouped under the category, the extension namespace. So this is the namespace of our particular extension that we are working on. So for the first three permission types, they will all be grouped under the category, the extension namespace. And for system defined permission type alone, they will automatically be grouped under the category extension namespace __ sysdef. So this is something that is done at the platform end. So now that we've provided the values for a CRM variable, let's go ahead and click on save. So you can see that our CRM variable for that API key has been successfully created. So the variable name is what we had provided. The data type is also what we had given. The value we had left it is empty since it's going to be an end user input. So these are the values that we had provided from our end. You can see that the API name and the group API name are automatically populated as soon as the CRM variable has been created. So this API name is the unique name that you will be using in order to access this variable across your extension components. So you've created this variable. In order to access this variable in your extension components, you can use this unique API name and then access it in your components to perform extension functionalities. So as I had mentioned while we were discussing about the feature called as field value on change, you can see that this particular feature is available for this variable that we have created. So there is a operation called as write script over here. So take a simple example. So if you're integrating Zoho CRM with say Zoho projects. So as an end user who is going to be using Zoho projects, you could be part of multiple portals, right? So initially, if you're installing this extension, so let's say you have a CRM variable created for the Zoho projects portal. So when you're installing the extension, you could initially give your port that you want to integrate this extension with the project portal A. So let's say a simple thing like where if you want to send out a mail to the end user stating that you are currently integrated with this particular Zoho projects portal, that simple functionality can be achieved through this feature as well. So depending on your requirements, you can choose to use this feature. So we have now, had an idea on what are CRM variables, like when they can be used and how you can create a CRM variable in an extension. So the next thing that we will be entering into is how you can use this CRM variable or incorporate this CRM variable as part of your extension components. So before we enter into that section, so I'll just go back to my presentation and we'll see the extension components where you can go ahead and incorporate these CRM variables in. So CRM variables can be majorly incorporated in two extension components. So one is functions and the other is connected apps, also called as widgets. So you could be creating functions in order to perform some logical functionalities as part of your extension, right? So let it be a standalone function or a function which is associated with your related list, workflow, or a button. Across any function that you're creating as part of an extension, you can go ahead and access this CRM variable in order to perform your extension functionalities. Similarly, in your widgets, that is the user interface that you're going to be creating for your extension development, in that particular user interface as well, you can go ahead and either get the value of a CRM variable or store a value to a CRM variable in order to perform some extension functionalities. So how can you actually get a value or set a value to a CRM variable through these extension components in order to perform those functionalities? So we have specific syntax dedicated to fetch the value for a CRM variable or store and set a value to a CRM variable through this function or a widget. So over here, we are going to see the syntaxes that is used to get or set a value for a CRM variable through your custom function. So this is the syntax where you can go ahead and let's say you created a CRM variable with a static value. If you want to access that value of that CRM variable as part of your custom function in your extension, you can use this particular syntax in order to fetch or get that value. So here this custom variable name, right? That is in that particular space, you will have to provide the API name of the CRM variable that was created. So we saw that a unique API name gets automatically populated when a CRM variable is created. So that API name will have to be provided over here to get the value for a CRM variable. Similarly, we have a syntax to set the value for a CRM variable through a function itself. So you can go ahead and invoke the connector crm.set, and in the value map, you're going to go and construct the value for the CRM variable that you want to store as the value for the CRM variable. So that construction of data will happen over here, and then you'll invoke this particular connector, which will set a value to the CRM variable through your custom function. So in a similar manner, if you want to get or set a value for the CRM variable through your widget, we have specific syntaxes for that as well. So in this syntax, in the variable namespace region, you will provide the API name for your CRM variable. And over here for the setting CRM variable, setting value to a CRM variable syntax, you can see for the keyword API name, you'll have to provide the API name of your CRM variable. And for the keyword value, you're going to go ahead and provide the value that you want to be set as the value for your CRM variable. So once you construct the data, you're going to invoke the crm.set connector, which will store the value that you're providing to the CRM variable through your user interface. So now we've seen the extension components, major extension components where this CRM variables can be accessed along with their syntax. The next thing is that we'll be entering into an example demo on how you can actually use the significance of using CRM variables in a function. So in today's session, we'll see how CRM variables can be incorporated in functions with the example demo. And in our next session, we'll be seeing how it can be done in widgets. So first, let's see a scenario which involves the usage of CRM variables in functions. So consider a service-based software development company that manages its sales cycle in Zoho CRM and project management in Asana. So once they close a deal for a new app development, they kickstart their work and handle the project development and management processes in Asana. So let's assume a new project gets created in Asana as soon as a deal is closed in Zoho CRM. Also, the permalink of the project that is created in Asana will be updated in the Zoho CRM deal record for easy accessibility from within a single space. So our use case is that we're going to integrate Zoho CRM with Asana, which is a project management application. So whenever a sales agent who is handling a deal or like a deal for a particular contact, when they are going to cross through multiple deal stages, right? So they are initially going to analyze that deal, then go ahead and negotiate that particular deal with the contact, and finally when that deal is going to be closed and won, the sales agent wants to handle the deal related activities, the deals project related activities in the Asana project management application. So as per our use case, we are going to create a project in Asana as soon as the deal is being closed and won. And that project that is created in Asana, that permalink, that URL of that project will be taken and updated to a custom field inside the deal record itself, so that whenever the sales agent is handling this particular deal, they'll be easily able to click on this particular URL and get redirected to the project in Asana for this particular deal. So in order to achieve this use case, let's go ahead and see the extension components that we would require to implement this use case. So the next thing is the extension components that would be required to achieve our use case. So you would require creating two CRM variables, one to store Asana's personal access token and the other one to store Asana's workspace ID. Then we are going to create a custom field in the deals module to store the permalink of the project that is going to be created in Asana. Thirdly, we'll be creating a workflow with the criteria as the deal being won and closed. And finally, we'll associate that workflow with a function which holds the logic to create a project in Asana with the details of the deal being won. So the first thing would be to create two CRM variables. One is the personal access token. So this personal access token is like the API key that would be required from Asana's end in order to establish a secure integration between Zoho CRM and Asana. So for that, we are going to create one CRM variable. And the next thing is that as per our use case, when the deal is closed and won, we want the deal to be created as a project in Asana in the end user's workspace, right? So in order to do that, we would require the end user's workspace ID in Asana. So for that, we are going to create another CRM variable. So after creating the CRM variables, the next thing we are going to do is we are going to create a custom field in the deals module. So once the project is created in Asana, we are going to take that link and update it in the deals module itself for the sales agent to have easy accessibility from within the deals view page. So for that, we'll create a custom field in the deals module. And then we are going to create a workflow. So in our use case, on occurrence of an event, we are going to create a project in Asana. So our condition is going to be that the deal has to be closed and won. So for capturing that particular condition, we are going to use the workflow feature, and we are going to associate that workflow with a function which holds the logic to create the deal as a project in Asana. So now that we have an overview on these particular components that are required, let's go ahead and see the creation of each of these components one after the other. So the first component, as I had mentioned, is creating two CRM variables, one for Asana's personal access token and the other one is for getting the end user's Asana workspace ID. So I've already created an extension and kept all these components set up and ready, so that as soon as I explain each component, I'll go ahead and show the components creation in extension developer console for your easy smooth transition and for your easy reference. So now that we've seen the first component, let me go to my Zoho developer console. So this is a particular extension that I've created called as Asana, where we are going to go ahead and create this extension components that are required to achieve our use case. So the first component was that we require to create two CRM variables, one for personal access token and the other is for workspace ID. So as I had mentioned earlier during our session, using this custom properties section, I've created two CRM variables, one PAT, which is the personal access token, and the other is the workspace ID. So the variable name is what I've provided and the data type I've kept it as single line. And since these are going to be values that are user specific and the values that need to be entered by the end user, I've left this value section empty so that when the extension is installed, it will be prompted to the end user in order to input their user specific values. So this is with respect to the first component's creation. So the next component that we will require is creating a custom field. So let me go back to my presentation. So the second component is we are going to create a custom field called as Asana project permalink in the deals module with the data type as URL. So this is the custom field where the URL for the project that is going to be created in Asana is going to be updated, right? So let's go back to our extension developer console. So if you want to create a custom field, then you're going to go ahead and use this component section which is available in the left panel. So once you click on component section, under the fields tab, you can create a custom field for the module that you require. So we are going to create a custom field for the deals module. So you can see that under the deals module, I've created a custom field called as Asana project permalink with the data type as URL. So to this particular field, as part of our later code functionality, we will be updating the Asana project permalink. So these were the two components that we have created. So the next thing that we are going to do is capturing the condition that would be required for our use case. So we are going to use the workflow feature available in the Zoho CRM developer platform in order to achieve this particular condition capture. So our condition is going to be that the deal stage is moved to closed and won, and we are going to associate a function to this workflow which will perform the logic that a project is created in Asana for that particular day, right? So let's go and see how we created a workflow in the extension developer console. So for creating a workflow rule, under this automate section, you have an option called as workflow. So using this workflow option, I've created a workflow called as create project in Asana. So you can see that I've specified the condition or the criteria that is required for a use case over here. So our condition is that when the deal stage is modified to the value closed and won. So when the deal is being moved to the stage closed and won, we want a particular action to occur. So this is a record action. When the deal record is edited, that is the stage of the deal is modified to the value closed and won, we are going to perform some action that is associated with this particular condition. So the final component is associating a function to this particular workflow. So what are we going to do as part of that function that is going to be associated with the workflow is that when the deal is closed and won, we are going to fetch the deal related details and then construct that details in the format that is required by Asana in order to invoke the Asana API to create a project in the end user's workspace. So once the project is created, we will be taking that permalink and then updating that to a custom field in the deals module itself. So let's go ahead and see the code snippet that we've done. That is the code snippet which associated with the workflow function. So I'm going back to my extension developer console. So this was the workflow condition that we had created. So after that, what we've done is that we've associated an action to this particular workflow. So on instance of this event, an action is going to occur and that action that we've associated is a function. So I've written a function called as create project in Asana, which will hold a code snippet. So let me enter into the function. So this is the function that we've associated with our workflow. So you can see that I've initially used the get record by ID deluge integration task to fetch the details of the deal that we will be currently working on. So from the response that is retrieved through this particular get deal record details, we will be taking the details that we require alone. So I am going to take the deal name, due date and description alone. So these are the details that I want to be constructed in a format in order to be passed to Asana. So what we are going to do once we fetch the deal related details, we are going to create a project in Asana, right? For that, we are going to invoke the Asana API to create a project in Asana's workspace. For that, we would require the workspace ID in order to ensure that the project goes and falls or the project is created in that particular workspace. And also Asana requires the personal access token, that is the end user's personal access token, in order to establish a secure connection and then have this API invoked. So for that, for these two details, for the workspace ID and the personal access token, we had created CRM variables, right, in order to fetch the value from the end user. So earlier when we were discussing about the syntax, we saw that we had separate syntax to get the value for a CRM variable as part of a custom function. So I've used that particular syntax and provided the API name of the CRM variables that we've created. So the personal access token that will be provided by the end user, that value, and the workspace ID that will be provided by the end user, that value will be fetched through the syntax and will be stored as part of this two variables, namely PAT and workspace ID. So this workspace ID is what I will be passing over here in order to invoke the Asana API to create a project in this particular workspace. Also, Asana requires data to be passed in order to create a project with those particular details, right? So I've created a project info map variable. So using the deal details that we fetched earlier, I've created a map variable in order to be passed as the data parameter for this particular invocation of this particular Asana API. And Asana also requires a header data that needs to be passed, where you're going to provide the personal access token of the end user. So for that, I've created another map variable in the format that Asana requires by passing the personal access token, and then provided that value to this header keyword. So after we've constructed the data and the format that Asana requires, this particular API is invoked using the invoke URL task, which will create a project in Asana with the details of the deal that we have closed and won. So after the deal or after the project has been created, from the project response that is going to be created, we are taking the permalink URL alone. So from the project that is created, that response, we will take its URL alone and update that particular URL to the custom field that we've created in the deals module. So we have an update record deluge integration task using which we are going to update the deals, a custom field called as Asana project permalink, with the permalink URL that we obtained from the Asana project creation API response. So this is the code snippet, or this is the logic that we've handled as part of the function associated with the workflow, where we're fetching the deal related details and then constructing it in the format required by Asana to create a project. And from the project that has been created, we are taking the URL and updating that to a custom field in the deals module. So these are the components that were required in order to establish our extension use case. So once all these components are done, I've gone ahead and used the publish option, which is available in the left panel, in order to publish this extension. So I've obtained an installation URL after publishing it. So let me take that installation URL and let's go ahead and install this extension in a CRM account to see the sample output functionality. So I'm going to paste the installation URL in the browser, which will redirect to the Zoho CRM account where the extension is going to be installed. So as an end user, you'll have to agree to the terms of service and then the profiles for which this extension has to be installed. So you can see that the installation is in progress, and once the installation is complete, this status will move to active. So let's just wait till the extension installation is completed. So you can see that the status has been changed to active. And as soon as the extension is installed, the end user is prompted to enter their user specific values for Asana personal access token and the workspace ID. So I've already kept my Asana related details ready. So let me provide my user specific Asana's personal access token and the workspace ID where I want the projects to be created. So once I provide the value for the CRM variables, I'm going to click on save, and you can see that the values are saved to the CRM variables that we have created. So now that we provided the input for the CRM variables, let's go ahead and check out our use case functionality. So as per our use case, we're going to enter into a deal. So let's say the deal is currently in the negotiation or the review status. So as a sales agent or a sales representative who's handling a deal for a particular contact, they are currently in the negotiation or the review status. So when the sales representative has completed the deal and is going to move the deal stage to closed and won, we want a project to be created in Asana for this particular deal, and then we want this custom field, that is Asana project permalink, to be updated with the URL of the project that is created in Asana, right? So let's go ahead and move the particular deal stage to closed and won. So we're verifying the details before the deal is closed. We're going to click on save, and you can see that the deal is now moved to the stage closed one. If you actually view the timeline for this particular deal record, you can see that our function create project in Asana is called via the workflow rule that we had created. So we wanted a project to be created in Asana and that project related URL to be updated as part of this custom field. So you can see that the project's permalink URL is updated over here. So as a sales representative, you can just click on this particular link and then get redirected to your Asana page where you're going to be redirected to the particular project that is created for that deal that we were working on. So project management related activities can be kept as a track of from within the deals record itself by accessing this particular permalink URL. So this is the use case that we wanted to explain, where the significance of CRM variables comes in to integrate Zoho CRM with another third-party application in order to have a seamless flow of data between Zoho CRM and the third-party application. So in today's session, we saw how you can use CRM variables through a function. So in our next session, which is going to be held on December 1st week, we will see how to incorporate the CRM variables in widgets with an example demo. So hope you found this session informative.